Body consciousness, the Taurus New Moon. What if the body has its own language, its own consciousness? What if the body is always communicating with us through sensation, intuition, tension, softness, pleasure, exhaustion, resistance, or even stillness? Hi, I'm Nancy Volante, an astrologer and certified wellness coach. I'd like to talk about the new moon in Taurus on May 16th, 2026 at 4:01 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time, so adjust to wherever you are in the world. So let's dive in. Excuse me. In astrology, Taurus, a yin energy, female, earth sign, practical, feet on the ground, rules the second house of the zodiac wheel and is also ruled by Venus. Together, Taurus and Venus speak the love language of the zodiac, not just romantic love, but the deeper embodiment of self-worth, survival, intuition, nourishment, pleasure, and the relationship we have with receiving and giving, Venus. Taurus teaches us that love is not only something we experience in relationships, love is also how we care for ourselves, our bodies, how we listen to the body. Taurus is the body, the somatic body, inside and out. How do we honor our needs? How we create safely from the inside out. Taurus's body language speaks through the senses, through sensation, through sensuality. It asks us to somatically listen rather than immediately fix. Something, I have to be honest, that and we probably all do on some level, try to do all the time. It's about really surrendering to that notion of I've got to fix it and really trust in the body's inherent abilities to move and regenerate. So rather than understand through control, Taurus asks us to move through experience rather than become stuck inside of it. Because Taurus can become stuck. Taurus can be stubborn, digging the heels in, not wanting to truly change. Taurus energy is steady, grounded, slow to change, and there is something beautiful about that steadiness. Gorgeous. But sometimes the desire for security can become rigidity. We have to have that security so much because if we don't, what's going to happen to us? And then fear sets in. Sometimes we grip too tightly to what feels familiar because change threatens survival itself. I have my Mercury and Venus retrograde in Aquarius in the second house. I've had to really work on that a lot because, Aquarius wants to be free and move and be independent, where I am independent, but sometimes it's like, well, no, I want to hang on to what I have because then I don't know. I'm in the unknown, right? So what Taurus is saying on a higher mindfulness or consciousness is, life is always moving. The seasons change. Venus, Taurus's ruler, reminds us that joy matters, pleasure matters, beauty matters, creativity matters. The relationship we have with our own body matters deeply. She asks us to reconnect with grace, with softness, with the sacredness found in nature, art, intimacy, and self-worth. and she is Venus. When Taurus forgets herself, when self-care, embodiment, and emotional nourishment are abandoned, the body can harden. And that correlates with the fascia in our body, the lining, that nice, really thin lining that covers our whole body, that covers our organs, that becomes hardened. Then we become stiff. And then fear settles in. Survival becomes disconnected. Okay, it's not about survival anymore. It's about control. So survival becomes disconnected from trust. It's a hard one, and we all go through it because that's part of the lesson of learning the deeper meaning of what self-care is, the deeper meaning of what is true embodiment of self. This new moon in Taurus, it's I didn't think it. It's funny. I'm going to stop. I'm going to just pause for a moment. It's funny with full moons and new moons, and as an astrologer, I want to feel what's going on a lot of times. I don't want to constantly be looking at the chart. I want to know and understand the archetypes and the planets and stuff and the aspects and transits. But I don't want to constantly be looking at that 2D map, which I love. I want to be able to feel in like a hologram of feelings of the body. So I want to just place that in there because I thought, oh my God, it's in Taurus. It's going to be nice and easy. And I know that, Taurus can be tough. Taurus can be demanding. So this new moon in Taurus is asking us to walk gently on the earth, to embody grace, to reconnect with emotional wisdom and intuition through the body first, because it's all we got here, right now, here, now. Because manifestation is not just mental, right? It's also somatic, our inner being, our emotions. It's also energetic, how we express what we feel, what we're projecting or not. And it's also relational to others and self. We are being asked to plant what I call a seed thought, which is the essence of a new moon, planting seeds. But this seed, this time, this new moon in Taurus is asking for sustainability over time, because that's what Taurus is. Taurus wants sustainability, steadiness, something rooted in value, something rooted in self-worth, something that supports not only the body, but also creativity, collaboration, intimacy, and the spaces we are building personally and collectively. This is the medicine of Taurus, to create from grounding, to receive without guilt, to receive without guilt. That's a biggie. To give without depletion. I know that one. So if you're giving and giving and giving and you're not receiving, the balance is off. Venus is about balance, that grace of, again, giving and receiving. Not easy. To build something meaningful with patience, care, and presence. And over the last 7 years, just to take us back a little bit, Uranus was traveling through Taurus from 2018 to 2025. So that deeply reshaped relationships to self, relationships with everything, right? With what we do, with what we eat, with what we feel, with nature. So I often call, that past transit of Uranus in Taurus, I often call it the push and pull tango, because as a dancer, I'd like to correlate a lot about dance with astrology because it is movement. The cosmos are movement. It is a dance. So that tango was a little tough. You know, maybe some for more than others. It all depends on your chart and what's playing out and what's being asked of you. So over the last 7 years, Uranus, disrupted old patterns around survival, because, Taurus, worth, embodiment, pleasure, and stability. It awakened us to the reality that trauma lives in the body. That's a reality here on this planet, both individually and collectively. And that healing, that trauma, small or large, requires listening to the body's signals instead of overriding those signals, listening to the body language, the body consciousness. Now, sometimes people have a hard time with that depending on what the trauma is, which is why we have support, we have healing modalities, we have groups to support and hold sacred space. This transit challenged us to redefine what security actually means. I know I went through that, having planets in that second house, for sure. Not rigid control. Now, this wasn't about rigid control. That's what Uranus was trying to teach us. It's not about avoidance of change. Big thing with Uranus, the awakener, the changer, the disruptor. But this past transit, because we're still going through that transition, it doesn't happen all at once. The transition of Uranus leaving Taurus and going into Gemini. But learning how to stay grounded while life evolves around us, sometimes chaotically, like the Tasmanian devil or like a dust storm, right? And sometimes peaceful. So we want to be aware, okay, this is happening, that's happening. How do I respond? In some cases, how do I react? That's just being human. Uranus and Taurus also awakened the relationship between giving and receiving, which between self-worth and reciprocity, between survival and nervous system safety. And now, as Uranus moves into Gemini, we enter a completely new chapter for the next 7 years. And I bring this up because now we have a new moon in Taurus. So we go back to what was, what we went through, and now we're moving forward. What kind of seeds are we going to plant? This is why I'm bringing this up. So this new chapter of 7 years is centered around the mind now, because Gemini is air. Its modality is mutable, flexible, moving. So again, around the mind, communication, perception, learning, and consciousness itself every day. I think of Gemini as the mundane mystic. Think about that one. But before we move fully into this new energy, right, we are standing in the space between transformation and intention. Transformation and intention. I mean, there's always something, right? It's never like, it's never like, let me backtrack here. And what I'm trying to say, it's never like everything is smooth. It can be smooth for a while. You can have a nice ride. But at some point, it's going to get bumpy. It's just how it is. It's like being on a plane. You can have the best plane ride, right? Nice and smooth. I love those, by the way. And then all of a sudden, you can have one that's like so much turbulence that it shakes us up. It shakes our consciousness, right? And that's a good thing. But out of that comes our intention. I think intention is something that I'm really going to dive deep into in the next few weeks as I write and as I do these podcasts. Anyways, the full moon in Scorpio that we had on May 1st that's important because, I'm just going to add here that, we are having 3 moons in May, right? So May 1st was the full moon in Scorpio, okay, which illuminated what has been suppressed, hidden, put a lid on, or emotionally cut off. Now, when we emotionally cut off, that's what's called the shadow. Sometimes I want to come up with a different word, because you think shadow, everybody thinks, oh no, bad, this, that. No, it's just what we've cut off from, what we suppressed. It's part of ourselves that needs to be brought back online. So with all that, Scorpio brings transformation, ruled by Pluto, Scorpio is, and ancient in times Mars. So that Scorpio brought the transformation, but through truth, through endings, through emotional depth, and through release. It's intense. It is intense. Scorpio is intense, no doubt about it, but it's beautiful because in the higher consciousness of Scorpio is immense unconditional love for the work that one has done to get to that point of wholeness, if you will. For many, that full moon revealed what could no longer be carried in the same way. I'm raising my hand really high on that one. I am. Still working through that too, and it's okay. It's what life is about. It's what the body is about. So now, this new moon in Taurus offers us something different. It's the weaving of the basket. That's what I feel like astrology is. It's always weaving something new, something different, something unknown, something known. It's all about transformation and growth. So something different meaning not intensity, okay, like Scorpio, not collapse, but grounding, feet on the ground, in the body, aligned. An opportunity to consciously choose what we want to cultivate moving forward. What do we want to till? What do we want to garden, if you will? What do we want to grow? What do we want to manifest? Taurus loves nature, loves to grow. But is, with me saying that, is a little stubborn. That's the lower version. It's okay. So Taurus, this new moon wants to create space for love, Venus, harmony, Venus, embodiment, Taurus, grace, Venus, pleasure, Taurus, self-worth, Taurus. And then they come together, Venus and Taurus. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This new moon reminds us that transformation does not only happen through destruction, the taking away, the releasing. I know that's a harsh word, but we have Pluto in retrograde, so I use that in a positive way, if you will. Sometimes transformation happens slowly. It can happen gently, through consistency. This is all Taurian energy. Through nourishment. Taurus loves a good meal. Taurus loves to cook. It's about the food. My mother was a Taurus, and I have to tell you, this is what I loved about her. I loved a lot of things, but there's one thing I loved about her. She was a great cook, first of all, foremost, Italian. And she had breakfast right at 8 o'clock. She had her lunch at 12 o'clock and her dinner. She really liked it at 5, but sometimes it got a little later. She was on that schedule and she loved it. That was her nourishment. So, through returning to the body and remembering that we are allowed to feel safe while evolving. That is so important. Feeling safe while you're evolving. Sometimes I don't. And sometimes we all don't because of things that go on, the people that we are maybe have a confrontation with, or that we need to have a conversation with. But know that say it to yourself. I am allowed to feel safe as I evolve in this lifetime. And maybe that is the deeper wisdom of Taurus. That feeling safe. Maybe that's what can help Taurus to feel good about moving forward. It's okay to move forward. You're not losing anything. Taurus doesn't want to lose what she has. But knowing that you will have more possibly, or something different, or something more simple and sustainable. So the body is not separate from consciousness. The body is consciousness. And when we listen closely enough, it will always show us the way home. And that brings tears to my eyes. Because home is really, first and foremost, your body, your heart, and your soul. Let's take a breath in together as we come to a closure of this conversation today. Let's take a breath in through the nostrils, starting from deep into the pelvis, bringing that breath up slow and easy. And then exhale through your mouth with the sound of And as a takeaway today, take that with you, that breath, breathing in through the nostrils, out through the mouth with the sound of And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my email is nancy@thewhisperingsoul.net. My website, if you would like a reading, a conversation, is thewhisperingsoul.net. So you have a beautiful new moon, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.